Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers, words my brethren all around the world watching this video. Hope you're having a great day today. As you're tuning in, do yourself a damn favor, hit that subscribe button down below, and surely you will not be disappointed. Make sure you hit the bell notifications too, so you stay really up to date what's going on here on True School Sports. But wanted to really just get my take on last night's fight. There was obviously a lot of cards that went on yesterday. So as the week goes on, hopefully you guys enjoy your Christmas. But I'll do my best to give you guys the gift of kind of just recapping all the some of the key points from all these cards that happened this weekend. We'll start with the PBC on Fox card because to me that really wound up being the most complete and exciting card of the night. Obviously, it was a big night for the Charlo brothers. Fox on PBC on Fox. These guys are fighting on network television here in the States, and for my viewers in the UK who don't quite understand the significance of this, like that really is a big deal here in America because boxing is not like one of the top sports. So whenever it has a chance to get into the mainstream or like the network television, these fighters really should be putting the best foot forward and having great performances. So the Charlos got exposed to a whole new audience on this night, fighting on Fox. And it was supposed to be their coming out party. But what wound up happening was, and not just in the case of Jermall Charlo who lost Tony Harrison, but also in the case of Jermall Charlo, while he did win, he didn't look sensational. He needed to look sensational. He didn't do it. But I wanted to kind of because, people here on YouTube and not just YouTube, but in the world in general, with social media, with people being so in their feelings all the time, you got to kind of look at these fights for what they are, and you got to really look at them as it is. Okay, so I have a crazy take about the Jermall Charlo Matthew Korobov fight, and I'm gonna say this, okay, because I've always said this about the Charlos. Jermall Charlo is not a great fighter. Okay, Jermall Charlo I think he's been overachieving. He's gotten some really good matchmaking. But I don't think he's like a complete fighter. Now, Jermall Charlo, on the other hand, when I look at him, I see a complete fighter. I see a guy that could be not just a good champion, but a fantastic champion, a guy who wins multiple titles and defends it and wins big fights because he has a really good jab, a fantastic jab. He can counterpunch. But more importantly, after what I saw last night against Matthew Korobov, I feel the opposite from a lot of people because I think Jermall Charlo can fight his ass off, straight up. I think he's got a really good skill set. And I want to see him get the big fights in 2019. I want to see him with the Jacobs and the Triple Gs and the Canelos and the people and fights like that, because he should be in fights like that because he brings the pain. He comes to fight and he's fun to watch most of the time. But last night was not one of his more sensational performances. Last night he had to show something different, and as you fight different styles in the world of professional boxing, as you take on different fighters, you are going to have to show different things. And no two fights are the same. No two fights are the same, which is why it's not. That's why when you look at fights, it's not fair to judge a current fight that's going to come up based purely on what guys did in the last fights. Because as you guys seen, every fight, every fight is different. So you can call me crazy, but I don't think Jermall Charlo sucks. I don't think he's a hype job. Straight up, he went in there last night with a guy that, many of you forgot about, but he had to remind you, Matt Korobov is a good, experienced, well-schooled fighter with deep amateur pedigree. This guy showed it in the first half of the fight, with the way he was counterpunching Charlo, with the way he was able not to just, land punches on Charlo, but land effectively and cleanly, very frequently in those first 6 rounds. But what Charlo showed me last night was that he has a couple things that maybe we haven't had to see from in the past, because he hits these guys and they fall down normally, like Julian Williams and Hugo Centeno and Austin Trout. He's usually hitting these guys and they're laying flat on their ass. Okay, and then that's all she wrote. But last night he fought a guy that didn't go down so easily. He fought a guy who had more skills to him, who had more experience to him, and he had to show a little bit more maturity. He had to show a lot more patience with the Matthew Korobov. And I don't care what the odds were. I don't care the fact, a lot of people make a big deal about, Matthew Korobov was 35-1 underdog. I don't give a damn about that. If you know boxing, Matthew Korobov is a fighter that can fight. He's a guy that has skills, who has talent, who can go in there and can compete with top guys, as he showed last night when he fought Jermall Charlo. Now, in the second half of the fight, he made some very, very good adjustments. Okay, he was able to figure out the timing of Korobov, and he wasn't, he wasn't as timid in the second half of the fight to throw his jab. He started working behind his jab. He started to set things up off of his jab, and he wasn't overshooting with punches. He just showed patience. He showed poise. He showed maturity. And when you're fighting a good, experienced fighter, a southpaw counterpuncher like Matthew Korobov, who was as hungry as he is, because you got to remember, this is a guy that has had a big opportunity for a while. So he had a lot to win in this fight by beating Jermall Charlo. So that's number one. And then number two, you also got to factor in that this was a fight that was on late notice. Charlo did not have time to prepare for Matthew Korobov. He was preparing for Willie Monroe. So I think, and the thing is too, Monroe is here in terms of talent. Korobov's like right about here. So I think any fighter at the top level who would have to go from fighting and preparing for Willie Monroe for all those weeks to fighting that guy like Matthew Korobov, I think any fighter would have had their fair share of struggles with Matthew Korobov. So I don't think it's fair to criticize Jermall Charlo. What we should be doing is we should be looking at how not how he got outsmarted in the majority of the first half of the fight, but we should look at how he made the adjustments. We should look at how he remained patient. We should look at how in the 12th round he was actually able to hurt Matthew Korobov, and we got to give respect to Korobov because Korobov was able to not go down. He was able to stay on his feet and go the 12 rounds. So was it a sensational performance from Jermall Charlo? Absolutely not. It wasn't. It was not his most sensational. Like, it wasn't like the Julian Williams fight, and it wasn't like the Hugo Centeno fight. It wasn't that kind of a fight. But I actually wound up walking away from that fight, watching Jermall Charlo with an even higher opinion of what I think of him as a fighter. Now, Jermall, I've always been consistent with Jermall. I never thought he was a great fighter. I never thought he was no complete fighter. I thought he was very beatable. I thought he was beatable coming into the Tony Harrison fight. And he, for better or for worse, he lost to Tony Harrison. And even if he would have won against Tony Harrison, got the decision, he still did not turn in a good performance against Tony Harrison. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But Jermall Charlo, I walk away watching that fight with him, and I'm saying to myself, you know what? This is a guy that could definitely push on and win a big fight next year against Jacobs. And I'll go on record right now. Jacobs is a really good fighter. Jacobs is someone that I think could bring out the best in Jermall Charlo. I think that's a fight that is almost a damn near 50-50 fight. But Jermall Charlo is coming into his own. He's coming into his prime. He showed me a lot of patience, a lot of maturity, a lot of poise. And it was the kind of fight that he really needed at this point in his career, because what good does it do any fighter at the top level of world championship boxing if every fight they go in there, they hit a guy and he falls down, okay? You don't learn anything from those kind of fights. It's actually in these fights where you don't look as sensational that you get better. A perfect example that I can give of that this year is look at Anthony Joshua, right? He had a fight with Joseph Parker earlier in the year. Did not look good at all in that fight. Was he winning the rounds? Yes, he was winning a lot of rounds. He was using his jab, much like Charlo. It was a fight where he was hitting Joseph Parker, but Joseph Parker wasn't falling down, and he had to show maturity, he had to show patience, he had to show poise, and he ultimately got a unanimous decision victory. And then you saw when he fought Povetkin that was a different fight, and you saw blistering fast hand speed, you saw combinations, and that it's the same thing. It's the same sort of thing. So Jermall Charlo, as far as I'm concerned, I think he's still a top middleweight. I still think he's someone that could push on and win world titles and win the big fights. And he's a big problem for anyone in the division, which is why I don't see Canelo Alvarez going near him. I don't see Triple G until it makes financial sense to go after him. I don't see that. I really don't. But would I love to see those fights? Absolutely. But in the meantime, I think the most realistic fight we could hope for in the case of Jermall Charlo is definitely Daniel Jacobs. I think with his combination of his youth, his size, his skills, his growing maturity as a fighter, and Daniel Jacobs' suspect chin, I think he's going to be able to go in there and not just beat Daniel Jacobs. I think he will stop Daniel Jacobs. I think like you'll see Jacobs in a fight like that definitely show a lot of different looks. You'll see him go southpaw. You'll see him show all the craftiness he showed throughout his whole career. But I just see Jermall Charlo working behind the jab. I see Jermall Charlo catching him with something at some point in that fight and putting him out once it happens. So last night is not one of those fights where I think boxing fans should be saying, oh, well, he fought this guy, Korobov, and it was a late replacement, and he was a 35-1 underdog, and Jermall Charlo sucks and he's a bum. No. If you want to say that about Jermall, I ain't going to be mad at you because I don't think Jermall is that good. I've never thought Jermall is that great of a fighter. He's not a complete fighter. But Jermall, and this is the way I've always remembered the two, because I've always said, well, how do you determine which brother is which? Okay, Jermall is Jermall, but Jermall has got it all. Jermall can fight his ass off, and Jermall has it all. He's got it. He's got skills. He's got a really good jab. He can counter punch. He could fight. He could box. He can move. He's athletic. He is someone that I think people are not properly interpreting what happened last night with him and Korobov. Korobov said he won the fight. I don't think Matt Korobov won the fight last night. I think he gave a fantastic account of himself. I thought in the first half of the fight, he fought such a great, intelligent fight. But I think after Jermall began to get his timing down and working behind the jab, and he became a more patient fighter, I think Matt Korobov ran out of ideas. Credit to him, he gave a great account of himself, but I just think he ran out of ideas and he couldn't figure out Jermall Charlo how to get past that jab. So I hope for his sake, Korobov, if his plan is still to continue boxing, I really believe he should still fight some top guys. I like to see him fight the likes of maybe like a Derevyanchenko or someone like that. Sergey Derevyanchenko would be a good fight. I don't know. Whoever it's against, I like to see him in there with some opposition, because Korobov has always been a fighter that could fight, and it's just good to see him back in meaningful fights, because he's definitely someone that deserves to be in meaningful fights. But we shouldn't be calling Jermall Charlo hype job. We shouldn't be saying he sucks, because he doesn't suck. If anything, it's the opposite. He showed last night just why he's that good, and that's just my opinion. It might be a popular opinion, but that's my opinion on what happened last night. I'll have my take on Jermall Charlo in another video coming up, so stay tuned for that. What a bozo he is. But anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Take the time to subscribe. Like I say in every single video, you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just giving being you. So until next time, take care, guys.